Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour Grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town.
And hanging the stockings,
he snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow's Christmas is actually here.
Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming.
I must find a way to stop this Christmas from coming.
For the Whos would do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together, with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing.
We like Christmas. We like Christmas.
And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this whole thing. For 53 years, I put up with it now. I have to stop this Christmas from coming, but how?
Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat. Then he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick! With this hat and this coat, I just look like Santa. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I will make one instead.
So he called his dog Max, and he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said,
Get it!
And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos laid a snooze in their town, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings
He grinned.
are the first things to go.
Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimbley. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now
Grinned the Grinch.
I will stuff up the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus,
Why?
are you taking our Christmas tree?
Why?
You know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot?
The fake Santa Claus lied.
There's a light on this tree. It won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and bring it back here.
And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for any Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Who's!
He was Grinchishly humming.
They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a moment or two, and then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise,
grinned the Grinch.
that I simply must hear.
So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came, somehow or other. It came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
And he puzzled 3 hours, till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas
He thought,
didn't come from the store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more.
and what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.
Whee!